Hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this session of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session all about intrusive thoughts. And I was working with a client that had an event that had made them think about stuff in a really emotive way. And since that point, every thought that related to their relationship felt like a really high stakes, really serious thought. And they also felt that they had to do something about that. Whereas in the past, they would think about things and it wouldn't really be that much of a big deal. So in this particular session, you're going to hear various metaphors from something called acceptance and commitment therapy. And that's fused within a hypnosis session to really give them a feeling of detaching from the thoughts and suggestions about considering these thoughts to be low stakes rather than high stakes. If you have intrusive thoughts and it really seems to put you in a spiral and things seems to amplify and really exaggerate and catastrophize, then I think you'll get some value from this session. Just be aware, of course, that it was created for an individual and some of the suggestions might be perfect for them and not quite right for you. But if you do like the idea of something more bespoke, there will be a link in the description where you can get a free 30-minute consultation call to discuss me being your hypnotherapist, and then we can actually do a session together. For now, though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in that long, calm, relaxing breath, and as you exhale, just feel a wonderful feeling of release, as if any tension, stress, or worries are leaving your body in that outward breath. Breathing in relaxation and exhaling tension. Each breath taking you deeper and deeper relaxed. And I want you to think of that part of your mind responsible for being vigilant, being on edge. Maybe you could imagine a bodyguard on high alert, or a guard dog expecting a problem. But as you breathe in that resourceful relaxation, send a message that it's time to stand down. They don't need to be on high alert. There is no threat. There is no fear. There is no danger. So for now, they can just go off duty. And notice when it feels like they're no longer with anything they have to do or need to do. It's a signal to yourself that everything is manageable now. And I want you to feel that sensation in your body of being able to cope easily. That feeling that everything will be all right. Everything is manageable. Everything will be fine. So as you breathe in and breathe out, on every outward breath, just imagine tension leaving your body. And look for clues in your body like the tiny muscles in your forehead relaxing, shoulders loosening, jaw releasing any tension, until your body feels just a little lighter, a little freer, as your mind opens up, becoming more receptive and curious. And I wonder if you can use the power of your imagination to imagine that you are sitting by a quiet stream somewhere in nature. And maybe you could imagine sunlight flickering through the leaves, and you notice the gentle sound of water flowing. And on this stream, you notice leaves drifting by, one after another, slowly carried along by the current. And I'd like you to place a thought, any thought at all, onto a leaf and watch it as it drifts away without effort, without resistance. That you don't need to do anything with that leaf. You don't need to distract yourself from it. You don't need to submerge the leaf underwater. Just allow it to float on by. And then imagine another thought comes. And just imagine picking it out of your head, placing it on the leaf, and again, it floats away. And some leaves drift quickly, and some more slowly. But all of them keep moving. And as you notice this, you realize that thoughts can come and go without you needing to hold them, fight them, or chase them. And then I want you to imagine there by the stream is an old-fashioned radio. And you might imagine that your mind is like a radio station on that old radio. And sometimes it plays music you enjoy, and other times static noise, or a genre of music you don't really like. But you don't have to be annoyed. The radio can just play in the background while you go about your life, connected to what matters most. And you don't have to turn it off. You can choose to have it playing while your attention is elsewhere. And suddenly by that stream, a bus turns up to take you somewhere. And I want you to imagine that the bus driver, instead of asking for your ticket, offers if you would like to drive the bus. And just imagine you're driving that bus in the direction of what you value most in your future. Consider yourself driving towards love, connection, playfulness and intimacy. And sometimes there's noisy passengers that climb aboard that bus. Doubts, worries, what ifs. And they may shout, and they may distract, but only you can steer the bus. They can try and distract, provoke, or perhaps just be there making noise. But it doesn't change the direction that you're driving towards. They cannot steer the bus, only you can. And the more you keep driving towards where you want to go, the less power those passengers really have. And you may imagine leaving that bus. And I want you to imagine seeing a monster, a cartoon monster, perhaps in the style of the Simpsons cartoon. You know, the style of animation. And imagine that monster is holding a rope. And for a while it feels like you've been on the other end of that rope, pulling against a monster of worry, straining, exhausting yourself, believing you must win. And I wonder how long, how many weeks or months you've been playing that tug of war with that monster. But as you let go of the rope, you realize that you're free. The monster may still be there, but now it's just holding a rope. And that rope is no longer connected to you. So without your grip, your effort, your focus, your energy, that monster loses its pull over you. And in this calm, resourceful state, you can remember that feelings of love, attraction, or arousal can flow naturally when there is no pressure, no test to pass. And I want you to think of the person you love the most and feel a connection between you and them. And that connection is also connected to life and with yourself. And every now and then, a thought will try and break that connection. But it can only do it if you allow it to happen. I want you to imagine drifting back to perhaps 5 or 6 months ago and to feel how you felt back then. Feel that connection and feel that when thoughts and worries came up, it kind of felt that they were no big deal, that it will be all right, that even if a challenge comes up, I want you to get that feeling, that sensation that it's a piece of piss to just deal with that issue. As you consider yourself dialing everything down, leaving a high-stakes environment to a low-stakes environment. I want you to imagine if you were in a casino and your entire life savings was dependent on one spin of the roulette wheel, that would feel that whatever happens is so important. But if it was a tiny amount, no big deal. Even if it doesn't land on the number you want, it will be alright. And I want you to think for a while now that you've been treating something like it's a high stakes environment. And I want you to feel that you are reducing your stake. Because actually, when you reduce the stake, the emotional investment in the thought, the idea, the memory, it will be all right. It will be manageable. Everything is no big deal. And maybe you can recall times in your past when you felt that way. When a thought was just a thought. When it was no big deal. It would pass like a cloud in the sky. And I want you to feel that you are reawakening all of those neural pathways. And taking them all the way into the present. So you don't have to distract yourself or suppress a thought. You can notice a thought. Thank it for showing up. Extract the wisdom, the insight, if there is any, and let it drift away while you return to living. And I wonder if you could imagine seeing a short movie on a screen about how you've been these last few months. On edge, hypervigilant, spiraling. And I want you to see you on that screen like you're a cartoon character. Maybe with exaggerated features or yellow skin. But I want you to play this short summary of what it's been like. And then imagine watching it backwards in reverse. Like everything's happening backwards, just rewind it as I go whoosh. You rewind it all. And just imagine what that would look like if you rewound everything to before it all started. Whoosh. Just rewind it. Seeing yourself do everything backwards, all the worrying in reverse, the thinking in reverse. See it all happening backwards. Whoosh. And then imagine stepping into the end of that movie and feeling what it would feel like of 3 or 4 months worth of worry all happening backwards. Whoosh. When you've got to the beginning, jump back to the end and just rewind it again. Thinking backwards, walking backwards, moving backwards. Whoosh. And then imagine doing it one more time, but going all the way back to when you felt absolutely fine, that everything would be all right, that these thoughts were no big deal. So in the end of that movie, and whoosh, find yourself back in your body maybe 6 months ago. And imagine having the same thought and feeling that this is nothing. Nothing to do, nothing to think about. Consider it the opposite of spiraling, insignificance. And if your unconscious feels that you've messed up a current pattern and reactivated a previous pattern, Let me know by nodding your head. And let's reawaken it even more. As you imagine 2 or 3 days from now, having a thought, the kind of thought that may have spiraled you in the past, and now it almost makes you smile. It's so low stakes. It's a piece of piss. It's no big deal. It will be fine. And allow it to pass like a leaf on a stream. And if it feels like that's what your future is, that even if the thought does come up, it has no significance over you anymore, let me know by nodding your head. And let's test it out. 1 month forwards now. 1 month from now. Imagine having an intrusive thought about a relationship or a big event. Allow the thought to come up and allow it to pass. No big deal, nothing to do, nothing to dwell on, no one to talk to, no big deal. And then imagine it's perhaps 1 or 2 days before a wedding. And just imagine there's a thought of a doubt. Call it a second thought. And just allow it to pop up in your mind and float away. Because there's a part of you that already knows that you've been feeding these thoughts. You've been feeding these thoughts emotions. And that's what's made them bigger and more frequent. But I want you to feel that you can starve these thoughts of your attention and your emotion. You can have a thought and you can allow it to pass. And everything will be all right. And if you could imagine something like that, where not only does it not spiral, but it hardly becomes a blip on your radar. Let me know by nodding your head. That's it. And then imagine going back to that stream, realizing that you've been playing a tug of war with a monster, pouring petrol on a flame. You've been feeding thoughts to make them bigger and treating it like it's a high-stakes casino. But now, all of those things are undone. It's low stakes. The monster has the rope by itself. The stream is carrying away your thoughts there on the leaves. And you are driving your bus in the direction that you want to take it. It's time to leave this place realizing that you've been on a journey in your imagination, a journey of thoughts within thoughts, ideas within ideas, and dreams within dreams. But it's time to return now to the here and the now as I count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10. Wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, I would encourage you, if you haven't already, to hit the subscribe button or follow button to make sure that you're automatically notified of any future episodes that I release. Also, by doing that, it lets the algorithm know that you like this show, and that will put it in front of even more people that might not know that this show exists. So that would be helpful for me. And if you like the stuff that I do, take a moment just to have a look in the show notes or the description, because there's lots of free things that I have to offer, including free hypnosis downloads without the intro or the outro like I'm doing now. So thank you again for joining me on today's episode, and I'll see you again soon for the next one.